Hey, what's up guys, TechTitan here, and I am back again with a brand new video. So before I begin this video, I want to thank you all so much for watching this video. If you enjoy my content, please subscribe to the channel. I really do greatly appreciate it. Also, leave a thumbs up too while you're at it. We are at 9,500 subscribers, which means we're that much closer to getting 10,000 subscribers, and I can't wait for that. So anyway, let's begin with today's video. And today's video, I wanted to do something fun. And this is really a kind of a throwback review. Basically, once a flagship, now a budget type of review. I did one on the LG G6. So people seem to enjoy it in the last video, so I thought I'd do it again. And this time I have the LG V20, which is a pretty nice phone with, while some old specs, they're still pretty solid in 2019. So let's talk about it. So let's start with this display up front. So the display is a 5.7-inch IPS panel, and it's a pretty good display. So it is a 2K display, 2560 by 1440, plenty sharp. It gets decently bright outdoors, so there's that. And overall, I mean, the display quality, it's pretty good. It's not AMOLED or anything like that, but it's still a pretty good IPS panel. And you also have this dual screen on the up front. Now, me personally, I'm not really a fan of it, just because I feel like it's just extra space, extra unwanted space really, because you barely notice it's there after a few days of use. On the front, you also have this 5-megapixel wide-angle front-facing camera, and it's pretty wide angle. I'll show you guys what I mean in a second. On the bottom, you have your speaker, USB-C, as well as a 3.5mm headphone jack. And if you have some high quality headphones, you will definitely enjoy the high DAC on this headphone jack. So on the back of the phone, you have two cameras. One is 60-megapixel standard view camera, and the other one is an 8-megapixel wide-angle rear camera, which is pretty cool. And you also have your laser autofocus and your LED flash. And I'll show you also, guys, a couple of sample shots and produce some pretty good pictures. Not the best, but they're definitely really good. You also have your fingerprint sensor on the back and some branding. This phone is a Verizon phone. So as of build quality, this phone is made out of metal all the way around, and it's pretty solid. It feels premium still in 2019. Now, it's definitely slippery, so I do highly recommend the case on it. Or if you're not the case type, you could definitely get a skin on it just for added grip. One of the cool things that this phone retains is, so while it's made of aluminum, there's a button on the side which will give you access to your battery and your SIM card, which means this phone does have a 3200 milliamp hour removable battery. Now, me personally, if it was like a few years ago, I'd have been like, oh cool, I can remove the battery and swap it for a new battery. But now in 2019, I'm just so used to built-in batteries that, I mean, I'm not the one to carry an extra battery on me just to swap it out. I would rather just throw it in a charger, which this phone does support quick charge. It's just a pretty cool option to have, a removable battery. You can definitely just get another battery and then swap it if you want to. Okay, so let's talk quickly about specs. So this phone does support the Snapdragon 820 processor. So a few years old processor, but if you compare this phone to a budget phone like the LG Stylo 4, and you know what, I might do this comparison in a separate video. Leave it in the comments if you want to see that. But if you compare this to a budget phone, I'm putting my money on the Snapdragon 820. While it is a few years old of a processor, it's still, if you remember, this was a flagship processor versus the budget processors that Qualcomm uses. And also comes with 4 gigabytes of RAM. And a 64 gigabyte standard storage. You can definitely expand that via micro SD card. If we're talking speed for daily tasks like the phone app, it's pretty fast, it's pretty snappy. The messaging app, for example, the gallery, it is a pretty fast phone. Now, here's the thing though, I've heard that using LG phones over time, especially like the G5, the V10, the V20, they get ridiculously slow after some time. Now, I can't really verify this myself because, I mean, this hasn't been really that much of an old phone. It has been recently, I've recently got it, so I can't really verify it. I just had to mention that so you guys would just keep it in mind. But other than that, it's a pretty snappy phone. It should run high demanding games like PUBG at a pretty smooth rate. I mean, so it should run like high demanding games smoothly with no problem at all. I don't see this phone having any problem, even though the processor is a little bit old. If you change the settings of the game, you should be more than fine. So now that we have talked about specs, we have talked about design, build quality, and the screen, let me quickly cover up on this, on the camera or the cameras. So the rear-facing camera, as I said before, has a 60 megapixel sensor and an 8 megapixel wide-angle sensor, and it's a pretty good camera. I don't want to say it's amazing or anything like that. I mean, if we're comparing it by flagships in 2019, it's not, it's average. But if we're comparing it to budget phones, it's definitely at the top of the food chain. It's a really good camera, and it provides you with 2 on the back and 1 on the front. And now the front-facing camera is questionable in my opinion. It's not really that great, and I'll show you guys what I mean in a second. However, so if you're in a front-facing camera, you can actually switch between like a wide angle and standard view, and this is done via software. It's not like it has another secondary camera. But let me discuss with you the image quality. So let's start with this first picture right here. So this is just a landscape picture. I just want to see how good it captures dynamic range and shadows and things like that. And while the dynamic range on here is decent, the picture is a little bit dull. I mean, there's not really anything that pops. It's not really saturated at all. So I would say it's undersaturated. The exposure is good. The sharpness on here is also pretty good. But I wish the picture just had a little bit more saturation to it. That would have given it I don't know, that would have made it pop. Now this is a standard view, and this is the wide angle lens, and you can see it's the same distance. I've stood in the same spot, same place where I took the picture. I just switched from the standard view to the wide angle, and the wide angle has this fisheye effect, which I don't know, which makes the picture look a little bit cooler. However, the picture quality does suffer even a little bit more. I don't know, the picture looks a little bit soft. However, this effect actually looks pretty cool, and I like it. And this picture right here is actually pretty good. There's actually a bit of color. It does pop a little bit. And it is decently sharp. It's definitely better than the previous picture. And this is standard view, and this is the wide angle view. So the wide angle is just a pretty cool effect. I like it. I don't know, I don't want to say it'll make your pictures better, but it'll definitely give them a... So the wide angle is definitely a fun feature that I think most smartphones in 2019 should have. And here's another test of color. This is the wide angle, standard view, so pretty cool. So it's definitely a very good camera. In today's standards, if we're comparing it to your Pixel 3s, your Galaxy S10s, it's average. It's not really going to compete with those guys. Now, one problem that I do have is the selfie camera. So this is really a bad selfie camera. The reason that is, it softens up the image way too much. Raw front-facing camera, even with beauty mode turned off, it's not really a good look for front-facing camera. The only positive thing that I can really say about it is that it's wide angle. So now that we discussed the image quality, all right, so the speaker. So the speaker is placed on the bottom. It's decently loud, and it's a pretty good speaker overall. The bass is good, low end, high end, and mid range are definitely balanced. So speaker quality overall, it's a pretty good speaker. It's not going to beat out any front-facing speakers or anything like that, but it will definitely, it's definitely a pretty good speaker. The placement is definitely not the best, and you can easily block it with one finger, but that's why the high DAC 3.5mm headphone jack is there. You can use your headphones if you want. Overall, the reason I made this video is because this is now considered a budget option. You can get it for around $150 to $200, and I'll leave a couple purchase links below if you're interested. And I mean, for $150, you can get something like the Stylo 4. Now, is this better than the Stylo 4? In some ways, yes. In some ways, no. I do plan on doing a comparison between this and the Stylo 4, so stay tuned for that, and be sure to subscribe to see that video. So yeah, I want to end it here. So let me put the phone down. I want to thank you all so much for watching this video. If you enjoy my content, leave a thumbs up, subscribe like I said, and I will catch you guys in the next video. All right, thanks for watching.